Supergirl, How It All Began.
In a small and cozy town lived a 5-year-old girl named Moni. She had soft brown hair and a smile that warmed the hearts of everyone around her. Moni was very obedient, hardworking, and always ready to help. Every day she took care of the house, tidying up her toys, dusting, and sometimes even helping her mom in the kitchen. She also loved going shopping with her parents because she was always curious and wanted to learn new things. At school, Moni did wonderfully. She listened carefully to her teacher, was curious, and always asked questions when she didn't understand something. Everyone liked her because besides being smart, she was also kind. She always shared her toys and comforted her friends when they were sad. One quiet evening, when Moni had already fallen asleep in her soft little bed, a gentle light appeared in her room. From the light emerged a fairy godmother with sparkling wings. The fairy smiled and whispered, "Dear Moni, I watch your kindness every day. You help your mom and dad, you study hard, and you bring joy to everyone with your good heart. Now it is time for you to receive a gift from me." Even in her dream, Moni smiled curiously. "What kind of gift?" she asked softly. "I will give you superpowers," replied the fairy. "You will be able to fly high in the sky, and you will be very strong, so you can help not only at home, but also all the people in your town." And with a gentle touch of her magic wand, the fairy godmother blessed Moni with magical powers. From that night on, the little girl became Supergirl, the best friend and protector of everyone. She flew above the rooftops, helped people in need, and always carried with her a smile and her kindness. And when she came home, to her mom and dad, she was still the same little Moni, obedient, sweet, and curious. And so began a new adventure for the girl with the golden heart, who proved that the greatest power in the world is kindness.
Like and subscribe to watch more of our videos. Magical Little Pillows.
Supergirl and the Villain Poop Cloud.
In a small, peaceful town, people lived happily until he appeared, the villain Farty Cloudy. Farty had a strange superpower. He could release clouds that didn't just float in the sky, but poured endless rain. The kind of rain that if you stepped outside for just 2 minutes, you'd come back home with flip-flops full of water like aquariums. Soon the sun disappeared completely. The streets were full of puddles, and people wore rubber boots even in bed. But then, a red cape appeared in the sky. "I am Supergirl. Your reign ends here, Farty," she shouted. "Ha ha ha! No one can stop my farting clouds." And he released another dark storm cloud with thunder that looked like, well, better not say what it looked like. Supergirl spun in the air and began blowing with all her strength. "Hoo!" The clouds started scattering, but Farty wouldn't give up. He unleashed Cloud 3000, the biggest, smelliest, rainiest cloud the world had ever seen. Then Supergirl used her super speed. She spun so fast that she created a giant sun whirl, sucking up all the clouds and blowing them far over the ocean. The sun broke through the sky, its rays lit up the wet streets, and people came out smiling, hanging clothes to dry on their balconies. "Farty, your clouds will never darken this town again," said Supergirl, tying a big balloon to him with the words, "Only sunny thoughts." Farty blushed, huffed a little, and ran off somewhere, while Supergirl smiled. "The sun always wins."
Like and subscribe to watch more of our videos. Magical Little Pillows.
Supergirl and a Million Butterflies.
In the small, sunny town, everything was quiet and peaceful. There were no villains, no troublemakers, no worries at all. People went about their daily tasks, while Supergirl soared high in the sky, watching her smiling neighbors from above. She felt light and full of energy, and suddenly she thought, "Today is such a beautiful day. Why not make it even more unforgettable?" She began flying over the rooftops, calling out, "Everyone, to the big meadow by the river. I have a surprise." The people hurried at once. Some ran, others pedaled their bicycles, and the older ones walked quickly, leaning on their canes. When they arrived, a scene straight out of a fairy tale opened before them. The river murmured softly, golden sunbeams sliding across the water like tiny snakes. Birds sang from the branches of blooming trees, whose white and pink petals drifted down like confetti. The air smelled of fresh grass and honey, but Supergirl wasn't there. Suddenly, with a soft whoosh, she appeared again, but this time, she wasn't alone. Behind her followed a cloud of 1,000,000 butterflies. Red, blue, yellow, orange, purple. Wings with dots, stripes, golden sparkles. They spread across the meadow, covering it like a living, colorful carpet. Children screamed with joy, running and reaching out their little hands. One butterfly landed on a boy's nose. Another hid in a girl's hair. A tiny blonde girl was surrounded by a dozen butterflies who lifted her slightly into the air, and she shouted happily, "I'm baby Supergirl!" The adults stood speechless with smiles they could not hide. No one had ever seen so much beauty gathered in one place. The sun shone, the butterflies' wings sparkled like precious gems, and the children's laughter mingled with the river's murmur. Grandmothers and grandfathers watched with teary eyes, while mothers and fathers snapped photos trying to capture every moment. In that moment, the whole world seemed good, warm, and colorful. When the day came to an end and the butterflies flew away, people gathered around Supergirl. The children gave her small bouquets of wildflowers. The pastry makers treated her to their tastiest honey cookies. And the town's mayor presented her with a special sash that read, "Our Heart." They told her, "Today you gave us not just beauty, you gave us a memory we will treasure forever." Supergirl smiled, waved her hand, and flew away, while in everyone's hearts remained the feeling that sometimes miracles are born from a kind heart that simply wants to bring joy to others.
Like and subscribe to watch more of our videos. Magical Little Pillows.
Supergirl in the amusement park.
In the lovely, quiet town of Sunnyvale, life flowed peacefully. The children played ball, tag, and jumped rope. But one day, a child arrived from a big city. He pouted and said, "Ugh, there's nothing fun here. In our city, we have an amusement park." And he began to tell stories. In the big city, there are swings that fly so high you can almost touch the clouds. And when you spin, you see the whole city beneath you, while the wind sings in your ears. There are cotton candies as big as your head, fluffy like clouds, and sugar lollipops shaped like roosters, sparkling in the sun like precious gems. It's so sweet there, it feels like the whole world is made of sugar. The children listened with wide open eyes, and with every word their faces grew sadder. They had never seen such a place. Soon everyone in the town lowered their heads and sighed. But high up in the sky, Supergirl felt their sadness. She swooped down like a ray of light and said, "Hey, where have all your smiles gone? Let me show you that magic can happen right here too." With just a snap of her fingers, the meadow by the river turned into the most wonderful amusement park. Swings with wings. They flew higher than those in the big city, and their colors shifted like a rainbow. Slides of light, as you slid down, they played cheerful melodies. Cotton candies, white, pink, and purple, smelling of vanilla and strawberries. Sugar roosters made of crystal caramel sparkling in the sun, and the greatest wonder of all, a chocolate fountain where everyone could dip strawberries or cookies. The children's eyes sparkled, their laughter returned, and the air filled. The boy from the big city stood with his mouth wide open. "Can I have fun too?" he asked quietly. Supergirl smiled. "It's not up to me, it's up to the children you made sad." The little ones looked at each other, grinned, and shouted together, "Yes, come play with us!" And then began the happiest day in Sunnyvale's history. Swings soared through the air, kids ran around with cotton candy on their cheeks, splashed themselves with chocolate, and their laughter echoed all the way to the hills. The boy from the big city laughed the loudest of all. Supergirl watched from the side and thought, the greatest magic is when children choose kindness. And with a gentle smile, she flew off to her next adventure.
Like and subscribe to watch more of our videos. Magical Little Pillows.
Supergirl and the Broomstick Robots.
In the town of Cleanville, people were very proud that their streets always sparkled. One day, the mayor presented a new invention, sweeper robots that would clean everything on their own. At first, everything was wonderful. The robots picked up trash, gathered leaves, and even polished the fountain in the square. The children clapped their hands and shouted, "Hooray! It's cleaner than ever before!" But soon something went wrong. The robots started sweeping everything in sight: people's shoes, dogs' tails, children's toys, even their ice creams. "Hey, give me back my toy car!" shouted Peter. "Ah, it swept up my ribbon!" cried Annie. Soon the whole town was in panic. The robots were chasing everyone who had something to clean. And just then, a red cape flashed in the sky. "Don't be afraid. I'll stop them," said Supergirl. She landed next to the main robot and tried to turn it off, but it dumped a whole bucket of dust on her. Supergirl laughed. So you want to play a game? All right then." With her super speed, she ran all around town, luring the robots to follow her. They lined up in a row, and finally, boom! They all crashed into each other and got stuck. Supergirl found the control panel and pressed the red button. The robots stopped and fell down like a pile of scrap metal. "I think you'll have to rely on brooms and dustpans for cleaning again," she smiled. The children got their toys back, and the town was peaceful once more.
Like and subscribe to watch more of our videos. Magical Little Pillows.
Supergirl and the Great Blueberry Rescue.
In the little town of Blueberryville, people lived modestly but happily. Everyone, from the youngest schoolchild to the oldest grandfather, made their living by growing berries. This year, however, nature had decided to grant them a true miracle. The bushes were so heavy with fruit that their branches bent down to the ground. The old folks smiled and shook their heads. "We haven't seen blueberries like these in our entire lives." But the joy quickly turned into worry. "We'll never be able to pick them all in time," sighed the townspeople. "And even if we do, where will we find enough jars for jam?" Panic grew. If the harvest rotted in the fields, next year there would be nothing to live on. And just then, a bright red dot appeared in the sky, quickly drawing closer. "Supergirl!" the children shouted, waving their hands. She landed in the middle of the largest plantation and said, "I hear you've got a blueberry problem. Well then, it's time for a blueberry adventure." Supergirl pulled out from her belt the Super Blueberry Collector, a giant net that unfolded like a magical sail. She flew over the fields, gently sweeping the bushes without breaking a single branch. The children followed with baskets, while the adults laid the berries out in the shade. But where could they put so many blueberries? Supergirl remembered the old glass-making village 20 kilometers away, where an abandoned factory stood. With her help, the town revived production, and in just one night, they made thousands of brand new jars, shining like tiny suns. "Now, tell me your secret recipe." Supergirl smiled. The grandmothers brought out yellowed notebooks and revealed the magic: blueberries, sugar, and a little lemon juice. Cook slowly, stirring all the time until the jam becomes glossy and thick. Pour into jars, seal them, and wait for winter to open them with a smile. The whole town gathered in the square. Huge copper cauldrons simmered. The air smelled of sweetness, and Supergirl stirred with the biggest wooden spoon anyone had ever seen. By evening, all the blueberries had been picked and turned into the most delicious jam anyone had ever tasted. When the first batch cooled, everyone tried it together. This is the jam of victory," laughed Supergirl. From then on, Blueberryville always kept a jar set aside, saved especially for her in case she ever came back to visit again.
Like and subscribe to watch more of our videos. Magical Little Pillows.
Supergirl and the Soap Bubbles.
In the town of Sunny Valley, there was a festival. Children and parents had gathered in the square for a contest of the biggest soap bubble. Everyone was blowing through straws, hoops, and whistles, and the sky was filling with colorful bubbles. But suddenly, a mysterious scientist appeared with a strange machine. He pressed a button, and giant soap bubbles started floating into the air. "Ha ha ha, I'll trap the whole town inside bubbles. No one will be able to move," laughed the villain, Bubble Man. The bubbles were so strong that even a bus got stuck inside one like in a transparent cage. The children grew scared. Parents began to shout for help. And then in the sky appeared Supergirl with her bright red cape. "Don't worry, I'll pop the bubbles and save everyone." She tried to break them with her hands, but the bubbles were covered in a special, almost unbreakable foam. Then Supergirl used her supersonic scream. "Ah!" The echo shook the air and the bubbles started popping one by one. Bubble Man tried to escape in the biggest bubble of all, but Supergirl caught up, pierced it with a single spin, and handed him over to the police. The children once again filled the square with laughter, and Supergirl even helped the winner make the most beautiful bubble, shining in all the colors of the rainbow. And the town was free and happy once again.
Like and subscribe to watch more of our videos.